Nithyanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvaditam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasya Dilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadi Sakshibhutam Bhavaditam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Okay, on Kailasa's official TV channel. Good Guru Mahasanidanam, His Divine Holiness, Bhagavad Sri Nithyananda Paramashivam. Past years has taken past 26 years has been working hard and building the Sri Kailasa nation for that very purpose. So what is Sri Kailasa? What is the Kailasa nation? The line, it is just basically the only Hindu nation. As a part of the revival of the Kailasa nation, Swamiji is reviving many of the practices, the teachings, the customs and the cultures of Hinduism as well. One of them being the Vakyartha Sadhas. Having the debate, having the Vada Prativada about these great truths, great topics. These are one of the aspects which are unique only to Hinduism, where the freedom to debate, discuss and ask questions about the very cognitions, very truths, very lifestyle in which we live. This aspect is unique only to Hinduism. Now let's look into Swamiji himself explaining about the Vakyartha Sadhas and how the Vakyartha Sadhas is important in our life. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Jagat Guru Mahasanidanam, His Divine Holiness, Bhagavad Sri Nithyananda Paramashivam, has taken the enormous task to create Kailasa, the only Hindu nation, as a part of his mission to revive the Sanatana Hindu Dharma. As part of the revival of Hinduism and the Kailasa nation, Swamiji has introduced the Vakyartha Sadhas to all of us, an important aspect unique only to Hinduism. Having the Vakyartha Sadhas is like, in a way, digesting food. When you hear the truth from the Master, it is like eating it. But only when the Vakyartha Sadhas and living these truths in our life happens. It's only then the digestion and the imbibing of the food into your system, the essence of the food being imbibed into your system happens only then. The first 25% of imbibing the truth happens when we listen to the truth from the Guru. The next 25% happens when we contemplate and do the manana, the internalizing. The third 25% happens when we have the Vakyartha Sadhas, the Vada Prativada, discussing, having the debate, letting our understandings become deeper and deeper. The last and fourth truth is living these principles in our life. That is the last 25%. That is the last 25% of imbibing the truth. Now here, so watch a small video where Swamiji himself is explaining about the importance of Vakyartha Sadhas and how Vakyartha Sadhas is the only way any of your problems can be solved.
Vakyartha Sadhas every day will give you a complete understanding. Not only that, please listen, every time when you keep these spiritual truths in your inner space, analyze them, think about them, contemplate on them, every moment you spend on intra-analyzing these great truths, your incompletions melt down, you are living Advaita. Understand how much ever you struggle to find the solution externally, you will never find. You will never find the solution. What you expect externally, if you think, I'll finish all the work, I took it on myself or Swamiji gave it to me, and then I'll rest in peace. Never. Even after you leave the body, we have worked for you. Understand, if you are expecting the external solution, no. You need to be told you are a fool. Wherever you really need to be told you are a fool, you should be told that is the real good thing for you. If you have some disease, you need to be told you have that disease. Only then you will understand the seriousness and start taking medication. Manana, intra-analyzing is really, really, really important. Because the life gets aligned to living Advaita with Manana. Shankara says beautifully, Shrute Shatagunam Vidyan Mananam Mananat Abhinitidhyasanam Lakshagunam Anantam Nirvigalpam. The meaning is Manana is 100 times superior to Shravana. Intra-analyzing is 100 times superior to listening, and living is 100 times superior to intra-analyzing. Nirvigalpa Samadhi, living Advaita, is infinitely superior. Please understand, you need to listen and internalize again and again and again. That is why I am insisting on Vakyartha Sadhas. Even if there are 2-3 sannyasis in your ashram, start the Vakyartha Sadhas. Slowly devotees will start gathering. Everywhere, in every ashram, every center, just like puja is compulsory, Vakyartha Sadhas should become compulsory. More and more learning, more and more internalizing, more and more completion. Understand, other than the spiritual solution, there is no solution. How much ever you try to find any solution for any problem, whether it is personal, professional, organizational, intrapersonal, and interpersonal. Interpersonal is direct fight. Intrapersonal is cold war. You won't fight, but you will be waiting. See, it's like directly when you fight, it becomes like an equal fight. But I have seen many cunning fellows, they won't directly fight. They will wait. At some point, they will get that neutral person position. That time they will use that position and attack. When somebody else is attacking him and he is fighting with somebody else, he is a neutral person. Now come on, use that and attack. Violence. How much ever you hide, how much ever you keep inside, and how much ever cunningly you plan, finally it is going to stink inside you, not anybody else. Whether it is interpersonal problem, intrapersonal problem, organizational problem, professional problem, or personal problem, the only way anything can be solved is spiritual solution. Vakyartha Sadhas is the best way for a spiritual solution. Discovering spiritual solution for any problem.
Nithyananda, we're back. Swamiji beautifully explained how it is only through the Vakyartha Sadhas any of your problem can be solved. Fundamentally, all our problems are not external problems. They are internal. Beautifully, Swamiji gives the example of the Brahmanda and the Pindanda. The Brahmanda is like an ocean of water, and the Pindanda is like the drop of water. Even though the quantity may be less, the drop of water has the same qualities as the ocean of water. When we change our internal factors, when inside of us we change our cognitions, our thought currents, and then when we look at life, we see it in a completely different light. It is our reflection, our inner space, which is mirrored and shown as life to us. Swami beautifully says, life is nothing but a mirror. And how you are inside, that is the same way life will be shown to you. That is why Vakyartha Sadhas was a very prevalent in our times. Because it is only through the Vakyartha Sadhas we actually really spent the time with ourselves and actually worked in the area where the solution needs to be found. And it is because of the Vakyartha Sadhas we have lived for such a long time. Now moving further into the topic of today's Vakyartha Sadhas, why Kailasa? Why is Kailasa needed for modern day? Let's take a look at some facts. Hindus are a minority, be it factually or actually. Now when you say factually, what do we mean by factually? We mean how many people are registered themselves as Hindus in name, in their identity cards, publicly. Actually, how many people follow Hinduism in their day-to-day lives. Both of them are very different. If you are in a nation where factually Hindus are minority, or in a nation where Hindus are actually minority, either way, Hindus are a minority. Being the third largest religion in the world, practiced worldwide, in not a single country we are majority, be it factually or actually. You may say that India we are factually At least, maybe not actually, but at least factually, we are a majority. Just take a little bit deeper look into India and into the India government system and how secularism is secular very much against only Hinduism and not towards any other religion within the country. So that's a different discussion by itself. I'll not be entering into that now. But it's just something to think about. How being the third largest religion practiced in the world, we do not even have a single state which we can call our own. Hindus and Hinduism. We are the greatest science of life. Absolutely life positive. Fundamentally, we do not believe in conversion or terrorism. All around the world, Hindus have proved themselves to be the most contributing communities, whoever they settle in. The Indian constitution, as I said earlier, is secular only to Hindus and Hinduism. Another important point is from Paramashiva to our rishis. They have passed down the superconscious based lifestyle for all of us. It is our responsibility to do the same and keep it alive for posterity. Making temples is great, as we have made and continue to make all around the world. But unfortunately, it is not enough. It is our attitude of making temples but not caring about the ecosystem which had led to the destruction of the Somnath temple 16 times. We built it the 17th time. That's our greatness. But allowing the temple to be destroyed 16 times is our weakness. And it is from these mistakes we should learn. We should do the Purva Paksha, as Rajiv Malhotra likes to say, about ourselves first. Find out our weaknesses, where we had lagged, and how we can improve ourselves to make sure that we do not repeat the same mistakes again. Apart from all of this, 57% of the existing Hindus, people who call themselves Hindus, do not participate in any religious activity, be it going to the temple or doing pujas regularly in their house. 57% of Hindus do not actively participate in Hinduism. With Kailasa being built, a number of things will be happening. The first thing being the Vedagamas will become the constitution of the Kailasa nation. Dharma Shastras, the real Dharma, will become the legal system. Manusmritis and Artha Shastras will become the economic principles. Hindu universities and libraries will act as storehouses for this authentic knowledge, a repository for storing it and transmitting to the world as well. Fundamentally, in Hinduism, we believe that knowledge is free. And in the modern day, that proves very much to be true. From learning how to dance to how to create a software program, everything is available freely on the internet. And that shows to how much modern society, modern youth, the modern way of existing is turning towards the direction which needs Hinduism. Preservation and promotion of the Hindu medicine, this must be the most important of all, of how society uses humanity as their customers and keeps them sick just for the sake of sucking their money. Whatever field it may be in, culturally, medically, economically, socially, politically, you name the field, Hinduism is needed for that field. Not for the sake of reviving or for the sake of Hindus, but for the sake of the whole world itself. The whole world needs protection from itself, and it is for that purpose Hinduism needs to be revived. Swamiji gives a beautiful example of Israel. How wherever Jews may be around the world, they always support and make sure Israel happens and Israel is protected. Israel is safe. Because it is only if Israel is safe, Judaism can be kept alive. It is no less when it comes to Kailasa and the Hindu nation. Only when Hindus around the world have the fire and have the awakening where they understand that Kailasa needs to be kept alive, not for the sake of persecuted religions and persecuted sanghas. It is to be kept alive for the sake of Hinduism itself. Because if not for Kailasa, there won't be Hinduism for our next generation. Over the course of the previous Vakyartha Sadhas, we have discussed about NRI Hindus, how they feel ashamed and embarrassed about the religion, primarily because of the lack of knowledge about their culture and without a forum for them to open up and share their fundamental questions with anyone. Whatever may be the causes for this, the solution is the same, where they need to be enriched and given the correct understandings of why and how of Hinduism. Not only that, it is a fundamental responsibility of all of us existing practicing Hindus to shed our own embarrassment and feeling ashamed of our religion, our own neo-Hindutva, which we all carry inside ourselves. And when that happens, we'll be able to bring out the real Hindu in others. Apart from this, in yesterday's Vakyartha Sadhas, we had discussed elaborately on the need of political legitimacy for Hindus and how many atrocities could have been avoided if Hinduism had political legitimacy. In today's Vakyartha Sadhas, we'll be discussing about sannyasis. Sannyasis are the source and the backbone of Hinduism and the backbone of India. All the temples, everything which is kept alive about Hinduism till date is because of the hard work of the sannyasis. If you just take a look back into our history, sannyasis are not people who have given up on life, renounced the world, and just walked off being as beggars, living as parasites on the society. It was the sannyasis who contributed the most to the world. It was Adi Shankara who gave Hinduism a new definition during his time when other religions were taking over and presiding. It was due to these great Mahatmas. It is due to the Naga Sadhus that whatever temples are protected today are because of their protection which they had defended with their lives. Unfortunately, Hindu sannyasis, the backbone, not just the backbone, the whole skeletal structure of India, of Hinduism, were put in a very ugly looking, like making them feel ashamed, making other people feel ashamed of sannyasis, giving the wrong image where people who have given up with their life do not know what to do with their life because no other option is there in their life, renouncing everything and taking up the life of a beggar. It's a very wrong understanding which had been put on Hindu sannyasis by the British. But if we actually look at history, take a deeper look into Hindu sannyasis, you will see in very prominent places Hindu sannyasis existed. Even recently, the other day in the Satsang, Swamiji had shared where the Hindu sannyasis helped in the administration of the kingdom. In times of war, it was the Hindu sannyasis who withheld and kept the kingdom together. It's the Hindu sannyasis who coordinated the future kings and guided them on their path to rule and administer the kingdoms. Not only that, Hindu sannyasis had the responsibility of keeping the spiritual well-being of the entire society of those days. It is not just in a spiritual or aspect of politics and administration. Even physical protection, being the army. At times of war, when the Mughals invaded, it was the Naga Sadhus who protected the temples, the spiritual houses, powerhouses of the world. Sannyasis themselves, if you just do a little bit of internalizing, you'll find that they are equivalent to what the modern day presents to as superheroes to all of us. The decision which they have taken, that they will not have any personal attachments, and that the singular goal in life is to only Hinduism, to Veda Mata, practicing and ensuring that this dharma which stands around the world. In each and everything, they being that person in which Hinduism needs them to be it as a warrior, be it as a teacher, be it as a person who's just sitting and creating space for world peace, whatever it may be. Hindu sannyasis were those people who withstood and became whatever it was Hinduism needed them to be at the time. These are the real superheroes who have given up everything in life, not because they have given up on life itself, but because they had the higher understanding, higher cognition, higher purpose of life. If it were not for these sannyasis today, we would not be here right now. If it is not for the science, the preservation, the hard work for which they had stood up, me and you would not be sitting here. So before we enter into the Vakyartha Sadhas itself, let's just go around and introduce everyone who will be joining us in the Vakyartha Sadhas today. My name is Sri Mangalananda, and I'm a Bal Sant of Nithyananda Gurukul. I joined the Gurukul back in 2012 and was born and brought up prior to joining Gurukul in the United States. This is a little bit about me. We also have devotees sitting with us from across the globe. We have Ranoshan and Sri Nithyananda, both of them joining us from Canada. And we also have Murli Ayya joining us from Chennai. Thank you all so much for joining us here today. So before we enter into the Vakyartha Sadhas, into the discussion, let's go ahead and have all the panelists introduce themselves. We can start with Ranoshan. Please go ahead, Ayya, and introduce yourself for all of us.
The need to today, a lot of people are moving left and right, doing one thing or another. This is fine, but it's not always aligned to the narrative of life. And so we start getting distracted on all these things. And one thing that I'm extremely grateful for is that having Swamiji in my life, again and again and again, through every satsang, through having satsang around us, having sangha around us, again and again, the whole ecosystem is to ensure that the authentic narrative of life does not become askew. You're always, one way or another, you're always aligned to this authentic narrative of life, and you're always able to get back on your feet. And so, yes, this is actually just one small little tidbit about me and my experience with Swamiji. And yes, now I'll let the others shower. Nithyanandam.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Next, we have Sri Nithyananda. Please go ahead, Ayya. Introduce yourself for all of us and for all our viewers.
Nithyananda Maharaj, thank you, Nithyananda, everyone. My name is Sri Nithyananda. I'm an initiated disciple of Bhagavad Sri Nithyananda Paramashivam, and have been also initiated, blessed with the spiritual name. I grew up in Canada, sort of a regular kid in a mildly Christian family, attending church only once or twice a year, and playing a lot of sports and traveling a lot to the mountains, spending time outside, and became an elementary school teacher and computer engineering technologist, and realized basically the future of that career, making a lot of money in that field also, and seeing that the future of that career was not leading people to be blissful. It was basically sort of people were just accumulating stress and more worries and difficulties, and recognized that as a young 20-year-old that was not the path I wanted to be on. So I went to university and soon found out that they also didn't know what is the solution to life. And it's sort of like the universities teach a lot about science and a lot about mathematics and a lot about physics, a lot about biology and a lot about chemistry. But what's missing is why do we have life and how to address that and how to address that as a solution for everyone. So I started doing some meditation and saw Swamiji on YouTube in 2008 and went to India in 2009. And I knew after studying 100 spiritual teachers that there was something different about him. And I got that experience during Inner Awakening. And so since then, I've pretty much been full-time into volunteering and living as an Adinavasi, and was initiated into the lifestyle of brahmachari and sannyas in 2015. And now have been part of life as on this path of sannyas as a career choice. And how can spiritual life be an intelligent and economically viable and contributing career choice and lifestyle. And so that's something beautiful Swamiji has given now, is to see your workspace as a spiritual embassy, as a global embassy. So manifesting an embassy online and around the world that serves the needs of humanity. So each individual can do this. So this has been one of the great realizations of how can we live life even as an individual, no matter where you are, in order to contribute what all humans need, even just from the comfort of your own home or wherever you're staying. So this is something that even kids and young people really need to know. Your feeling of not fitting into life and where there's struggles that you feel that there shouldn't be, there's a solution. And everyone's facing that. And whether they are 10 years old or 80 years old, they're facing that, and they're desperate for a solution, even if they don't recognize that. And definitely people are lacking or avoiding to see and know what that solution is and how to make it. So just a single phone call, just offering a single space of listening, sharing one video, one link, can change a day and can change a life for people. And that changes not only that person's life, but everyone in their life also because of that shift. So these are some of the great opportunities that reviving the ancient civilization of Kailasa, why it has survived and why it's necessary and why it's needed, has given to each one of us. And so it's a really exciting time on planet Earth. A lot of people say 2020 has been the worst year. But the thing is, you speak to Nithyananda devotees, most of them will say it's been the best year, because they've taken time to look inside and really recognize what the real solutions are to life, that it comes from inside, not just from running outside. And so it's a great opportunity for all of us to reach out and learn to live in a way that's available to all of us now, that's needed for every human. So it's been very fulfilling, and looking forward to the near and distant future. Thank you, Nithyananda.
Thank you so much, Aya, for joining us here today. Next, we have Murali Aya from Chennai, who is a teacher by profession. Please go ahead, Aya. Introduce yourself.
Thank you, Maharaj. This is Murali from Chennai. I'm a teacher profile as Maharaj said. I came to Swamiji in 2013, and way back then I thought that I was totally directionless, and I was not settled in my career, and I didn't know what was lacking, where exactly I was lacking. And after coming to Swamiji, many things seem to take shape. Many phenomena around me seem to make more meaning, deeper meaning. And I was able to make sense out of many things around me, happening around me. So thanks to Swamiji for that. A lot of miracles have happened, and those also have strengthened my bond with Swamiji.
Yes. So thank you so much, Murali Aya, for joining us here today. We also have a surprise visitor, Dr. Murali, who is a doctor by profession. Please go ahead, Aya. Introduce yourself for all of us and for the viewers.
Nithyananda Maharaj, I'm Dr. Murali. I got introduced to Swamiji in May 2017. Before that, I had known about Swamiji just a few months before that through Raju Malhotra, particularly the interviews Raju Malhotra ji did with Swamiji. And then I used to attend Raja Malhotra's Infinity Foundation's conferences, present papers and stuff like that. And so, my main initial attraction, but now it is much larger and deeper, was the scientific approach to things that Swamiji had. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you so much, Aya, for joining us here today. So, let's get into the Vakyartha Sadhas now. And before we actually start the Vakyartha Sadhas, I just want to shed some light on why this topic of why sannyasis are not viewed in the same light as superheroes. So, after the previous Vakyartha Sadhas, all of you must be knowing Rajananda Maharaj, who joins us every day for the Vakyartha Sadhas. So, at the end of yesterday's Vakyartha Sadhas, we were sitting and we were just having a discussion. And we were doing a little bit of introspection and thinking what are the backbone and what is the core center of the Kailasa nation. And we asked in the course of discussion, we had come to the conclusion where it is the Hindu sannyasis who are the core of the Kailasa nation now. And it was the same Hindu sannyasis who were vital and important and who are actually the people who preserved whatever is left of Hinduism as of today. Unfortunately, for various reasons, Hindu sannyasis are not viewed and they are not given the due respect for the contributions which they have given to society and given to the world. They are made to look as beggars and they are made to look as people who have given up on life. And that is one of the biggest flaws which India and humanity is facing, actually, which Hinduism is facing, actually. Even in, there are so many authors now who are retelling the Mahabharata, retelling the Ramayana in the taste for modern youth and for modern society. All the characters of Mahabharata, Ramayana, they're all glorified, and I have no personal vendetta or any personal distinct towards them, personal incompletion towards them. They're doing a great job of retelling these stories in the way modern youth will understand. That's really great. But unfortunately, Hindu sannyasis are not, there's not a single person, no, anywhere else, Hindu sannyasis are mentioned as the real superheroes. Whatever which happened in Ramayana and Mahabharata, that happened thousands and thousands of years ago. And even today, we are taking the lessons which have happened then and having them as moral compasses, using them as moral lessons and implementing them in our life as of today. But the real sacrifice which our Hindu sannyasis made over the past couple of hundreds of years, those stories are the untold stories and the real superheroes of Hinduism, of India. So we wanted to bring this out to discussion today of how sannyasis, and if you take it in the light, their contribution, it's nothing much more different from how modern superheroes present it today. But it's an unfortunate situation where Hindu sannyasis have been deemed so low, where they are not even be able to get that recognition, even amongst ourselves. Even amongst practicing Hindus or people who call themselves Hindus, people who research Hinduism, Hindu sannyasis are not being given the same stage as other people who we mention as heroes in Hinduism. So that is from where this question is arising today. Why sannyasis are not viewed in the same light as superheroes? I would like Jnanatmananda to go ahead and start out the Vakyartha Sadhas for us. Jnanatmananda had actually, as he shared, he had been here and he has been a brahmachari. He was inspired by the path of sannyas. So please go ahead and share. What are your thoughts? What are your cognitions on this? Why sannyasis are not viewed in the same light as superheroes? Please go ahead.
Okay, good, Nithyananda Maharaj. Yeah, well, see, there's many aspects to it. One of them is media. The truth is, what we see, we're going to reflect. Like, this is even the truth of consciousness. It's basically a mirror, right? So whatever you see, you're going to reflect. However the people around you live or what you're taught or what you see, that's what you're actually going to become. You know, so this is why we need a nurturing ecosystem so enlightened beings can be born. But why? So that's what the humanity is actually the way that humans are treated. Even if you go into machine learning and the sort of social media algorithms, the sort of context, the overarching sort of educational bent and approach to humanity through sort of the media mafia, the marketing monsters, this kind of consumeristic approach to life has been to exploit the addictive patterns of humanity. See, actually, food should be something, like we all know, the amount of food your body needs is a small amount of protein, whether it's 80 grams, like as per this sort of modern science. It's a small amount of food. Calories can be begotten through various ways. Vitamins can come through a small amount of powder. So the amount of food that you literally need to take in is a very small quantity. 70, 80 or more % of what we eat is literally coming out as waste. So we know that amount of mass is not needed. But the food that we eat should be eaten for the purpose of supporting our body in its strongest possibility. The body has a huge immunity capacity. We know through practices like Pachapattinivratam and intermittent fasting, Nirahara Samimas, that your body has the ability to get energy from the space around you. Many traditional Hindu sannyasis live as niraharis, meaning that they don't consume food or just a small amount of liquid food. But the food that has been made available, although there's hundreds of billions of animals that are fed every year and slaughtered every year for food, 4 billion people live on less than $5.50 per day, and there's a huge problem of people not having enough food. There's enough food to feed more than 100 billion animals, but we're struggling to feed 3 billion humans who are starving. So there's obviously a wrong emphasis here. But just in that aspect of food, that the food intake should be to manifest your body's maximum possibility. But the food that is sort of provided that's not really, it's a food-like product. It's highly processed and literally poisonous food. So whereas the food that's taken in should be, the food that we take should actually be manifesting your life in less addiction and less dependency on massive amounts of food, because your body is a power. Your body is a master of living in the physical universe. So the food that you give it should provide and support the manifestation of that power. It's a power to live without addictions. It's a power to live without abusing your body like a trash can and dumping through sorrow and loneliness and sadness garbage. You wouldn't do that to a friend. So our body becomes our most intimate enemy that we're abusing. And so, unfortunately, the mass marketing global food media organization is giving us food that's making us more addicted. And with the high glycemic sugars in foods, and literally the brain chemicals in foods, and the types of, there's all sorts of these processed chemicals that what food should do is make your body healthy and strong. But this organic and Ayurvedic way of having food as a medicine, as sannyasis are manifesting, sannyasis manifest the highest possibility of life. They're literally superheroes. So we're missing the science of power manifestation. The sort of neo-Hindu anti-guru approach that gurus are not needed. But gurus are the ones that kept Hinduism alive and proved that the impossible way of living beyond human suffering is possible. So one and a couple of the sort of approaches that really make it difficult for children and thus for Hindus, and thus sort of make us feel that superheroes in a comic book may exist in some non-existent universe of Captain America or Superman or something, but forgetting about that actually the Hindu gurus and the Hindu leaders of the past are literally the superheroes. So children first of all, don't have an ecosystem to take care of them and safely guide them. The foods that they're consuming is, instead of making their body powerful and independent, is actually making them addicted, which is one of the saddest things on earth. Food should make you de-addicted. The foods that you put in your body should make your body stronger and less dependent and less addictive. But the food is making you highly addictive, and just eating out of addictive unconscious patterns that's making your body more sick. And then television and media is a major attack on humanity. When you see these foods again and again and again and again, naturally when you think about food, you see all these images. And instead of being able to listen to the body and manifest the powers of the body, which is what Hinduism is, manifesting the powers of consciousness through the body, we're just acting unconsciously. So there's this massive attack, fortunately or unfortunately, on what is exploiting the human addictive patterns, rather than de-addicting the humanity and manifesting our spiritual powers. So there's a long history to this, but these are some of the major sort of components in play.
Thank you so much, Sri Nithyananda. How some of the aspects where the biggest difference, when you see a superhero, what is it that you see? The abilities, the extraordinary abilities which they have. And that is something which even now in today's Naga sadhus, in today's sannyasis, those still exist. Swamiji himself has shared many times over the years of how in Kumbh Mela there are sadhus who have gone without sleep for so many years. Sadhus who put their head in the ground and breathe through their legs. So even now superheroes as sadhus, as sannyasis exist. But the real question, why are they not viewed in the same light as superheroes? And that is the real question which we need to dig and find out the answer to. Because only when we find out an answer to this, only then we'll be able to really inspire people for Kailasa. It is not just about making the whole world as a sannyasi. No. Fundamentally, we need sannyasis, yes. But whatever the reason may be, everyone will not become a sannyasi for various reasons. The same way everyone will not become a superhero. But it is the legitimacy and in the light in which sannyasis are presented in which is damaging the most. And it is our responsibility as practicing Hindus to withhold. And even though we will not be able to do the contribution Hindu sannyasis are doing, it is our responsibility to protect their legitimacy and protect their rightful status in society.